morning, everyone. Happy New Year. If I haven't seen you or said that to you already, I don't know when that runs out, but soon. So before I start, I just want to introduce to you two very wonderful people who are on with us today. Andrea Bastas, give a wave, Andrea, if people can see you, is our Senior Director of Public Education, and Steps to Safety is Andrea's project. She got the grant to fund the project. She has seen it through from beginning to end, and very delightfully for us here in Canada, Andrea involved Dory Cron, the community relations officer in Saskatoon with Saskatoon Fire, in the revamp of the Remembering When project to become Steps to Safety. Dory is a Remembering When rock star, and she has perhaps the most robust Remembering When program in Canada. They have decreased the number of lift assists in Saskatoon overwhelmingly over the last 4 or 5 years. So Dory has been a part of this all the way through. So we had a very strong Canadian voice in Dory. So we thank Andrea for recognizing that and recognizing the work that's being done in Canada. Dory and I have taught Remembering When 4 or 5 times in Canada, in Saskatchewan, Manitoba, and New Brunswick. So Train the Trainer programs, and the Remembering When program is now being updated, and it's called Steps to Safety, and that's what we're going to introduce to you today. And also with us today is Ray Bazal, who is our Director of Regional Operations for NFPA. He's in California, so good morning, Ray. Keep drinking coffee. And Ray is with us because this is one of the first workshops or presentations that we've done, so we all train each other and observe what each other does. He's also my boss, so all those kind words are greatly appreciated. All right, going to share the screen. It's nice to see you all. I won't press the leave button. I'll press the share button. There we go. And we're going to get rolling. So we have an hour today. We were going to try to do this in 45 minutes, but that's probably not going to happen. And we have a lot to get through. So as always, feel free to throw your questions in the chat, and I'll periodically ask Shannon if there are questions, but also time at the end, I hope. Shannon, can you see the full screen with the nice slide? Yes, okay, and everybody can hear okay? Okay, and if Shannon, if you would stay on just so you can give me the thumbs up for the videos, that would be terrific. Okay, so as I said, Steps to Safety is the new name of the revised program. And I believe there are some of you on with us today who are using Remembering When, the original program for older adults, fire and falls prevention. And some of you, I think, were with me in 2017 in Nashville when we did the Train the Trainer scholarship conference, when I learned about Remembering When. I know Kaylee from Georgina, and Glenn from Oakville, and Kim from Burlington were there along with their community partners. And I know others of you have used the program from the website. So quick introduction that way, and then I'm going to roll very quickly into the first video so that you can listen to wonderful people explain what Steps to Safety is all about, rather than listening to me for the whole day, if my mouse will work. So today's outcomes, what we're going to learn today, you'll understand the growing population of people age 65 and over in Canada and your community. Sorry, a little trouble here. Understand the impact of falls and fires on older adults. Learn the background and purpose of the Remembering When program, so the original program. Develop an awareness of the Steps to Safety program, and be ready for the new online learning program. And we'll ask Andrea in a few minutes when that's going to be up and available. Any minute now is what we think and we're hoping for. So it's not on the website yet, but it will be very soon. Andrea, if you want to just drop in the chat if you have an update on when it's available, that would be fantastic. So I'm going to show the introductory video. This video is available on our YouTube channel, on the NFPA YouTube channel, as an introduction now, and it will be on the page when it's up and running. So this is about 5 minutes, so it gives you a great intro to everything. And Shannon, if you just give me the thumbs up if you've got the audio, that would be great.
I look at my community and I know my community. And what Steps to Safety does, it allows me to give them a program that's going to benefit them as older adults.
All of us have loved ones that are aging. And it is so important, especially when it hits home to you personally, to have a program like this that you can go out and educate and teach. It gets down to the real nitty-gritty of fire and fall causes for senior adults.
And it's a program that can really help older adults stay and live safely within their home of choice.
Did you know that falls are the leading cause of death from unintentional injuries for older adults? With nearly 1 in 3 seniors, that's 17 million people, suffering a fall each year in the US? Or that 1 in 17 older adults end up in the emergency room due to a fall? And that at age 65, adults are twice as likely to be injured or killed by a home fire than the average population, and 3 times as likely at age 75?
This data is why so many of us are so passionate about finding solutions and partnering with those individuals within our community to stop these things from happening.
Steps to Safety speaks directly to our mission statement, which is to keep senior adults safely at home and living independently as long as possible.
It's a community-based program that addresses the fire, safety, and fall risk for older adults.
And you build this amazing relationship with your community.
Steps to Safety pairs fire service with community partners for fire and fall prevention education delivered through group presentations, home visits, and the creation of a community resource network.
But having that interaction face to face, talking to our community is so important so that they know that we are here to help them with any type of programs that we offer.
The more you normalize it, the more other people talk about it. It becomes an okay thing to talk about. And then people are more willing to address the issues with us.
First, you're going to notice a reduction in your call volume, at least the calls from the same individual. The second thing that you'll notice is that it's going to empower the seniors within your community to be able to do things for themselves. And that is very powerful.
In a recent home visit, we had a boarding situation with a lovely lady, and we wanted to address the safety message of keeping her exit ways clear. And we discussed it with her, and she made the decision of where we were going to have her pathway. We cleared the pathway, and then 2 months later, we were able to come back. And the first thing she wanted to do was point out that she was keeping and maintaining that pathway. She was proud and she had dignity because she was part of the decision making and the safety change in her home.
And having this program instituted into our city has definitely helped with the lift assist.
If you're not involving fire and EMS in your aging services, you're missing out on a huge collaboration to make a difference for both.
Steps to Safety is an investment for a community because in a fall or a fire, the whole community can be affected.
Now, the trauma services specialist, this nurse that goes with us sometimes to the group setting and home settings, is the same nurse that they see in the ER setting. So when a person falls, sometimes she's the actual nurse that follows up with the care. She asks us pertinent questions of how they fell, and she's able to give solutions further to bring the continuity to the program.
By connecting people with education and community resources, Steps to Safety promotes independence, healthy aging, and continuity of support.
Please be part of this program.
Do it now. It's worth it. It's a great investment, and you'll be so glad that you did.
How can you help the older adults in your community? Visit nfpa.org/steps to safety to get started.
So that link, nfpa.org/steps to safety, will take you right now to the Remembering When page. And Andrea has indicated that the new material will be up in early February. So that's only a couple of weeks away, which is fantastic. You'll also see from that video that community partnerships are critical to the success of the programs. And you heard Janet Barnes talking from Saskatoon. She's the person who's partnered with Dory Cron with Saskatoon Fire and has been instrumental in the success of that program. So I was talking to Shannon earlier and explaining that, that video is fantastic to show to your division chief or your deputy chiefs or whoever it may be to explain the relevance of the program, why it's important, and how it works. But there are, we're all doing community risk assessments now, right? You all should have them done or almost done because your deadline is approaching, and you should know, or you likely know from those community risk assessments, what your data looks like and what your demographics are. We all have older populations in our communities, and those populations are getting older. So why are we here? That's exactly why we're here. And how do we know? We know because in Canada, older adults are, and Andrea, I've updated this with the Canadian data, and actually we're at even more risk. So older adults are at 2.5 times more likely to die in a structure fire than their younger counterparts. Those 85 and older are 3.4 times more likely to die in a fire. So as you get older, your risk increases. And fire fatalities among older adults are expected to increase. Older adults account for about 50 fire-related deaths each year, or 1/3 of the total, but people over 65 make up only 14% of the population right now. Now that percentage is going to increase as baby boomers age, but still the data shows us that it's an issue. And in addition, in 2030, all those baby boomers are going to be over 65. So, I mean, yes, 65 is sort of the new 45, right? People are healthier, they're stronger, they take better care of themselves than they did years ago, but it's still a risk. And those born between 1946 and 64, could be some of us on this call, are now between 58 and 76 years old. So Canada's older adult population has grown from about 4 million in 2002, so 20 years ago, to 7.34 million last year. So that's 84% growth. So if anybody questions you about the need or validity for this program, this data is available to you, and I'll show you where. So over the next 20 years, which is not a very long time, the number of Canadians 65 and older is going to grow by 49% to about 11 million in 2042. And then by 2062, the number of older adults is going to reach almost 14 million, which is huge. So even further to that, more than 860,000 people aged 85 and older were counted in the 2021 census, and that's more than twice the number in the 2001 census. So over the next 25 years, the people aged 85 and older could triple to almost 2.5 million. And that growth is likely to peak as that first cohort of baby boomers reaches 85 years of age. So where does this information come from? Some of it comes from StatsCan, which is easily accessible to all of you, as you know. And some of it comes from this report from 2018. So it's still pretty current, by Len Garris, who is the retired fire chief from Surrey, British Columbia. And he is a stats and data rock star, as you may know, is heavily involved with the National Fire Information Database with Statistics Canada, which has now been properly funded by government. So we're going to see more and have more access to data and evidence, so we can make those evidence-based decisions and implement programs like Steps to Safety. So in this report, pardon me, that you can find easily on the University of the Fraser Valley website. And by the way, if you're ever looking for data, for fire data, go have a look at the University of the Fraser Valley website, because Len and his partners, a lot of PhD students, have done a ton of work, and the reports are all there and they're free to download on smoke alarms and safety and community risk and whatnot. So a really great resource for you. So this report noted that without a focused effort to ensure seniors, older adults, have the appropriate operational safety equipment, so smoke alarms, the annual fire and sprinklers, the annual fire-related death rate of older adults is expected to climb to between 90 and 140 in the next 25 years. And you'll note on the previous slides, it was 50, right, over the last number of years, an average of 50. So that's a significant increase. And then the study showed the impact of increasing awareness of the presence of smoke alarms and ongoing maintenance. So that's public education, which is what we all do, and inspection. And the study recommended emphasizing the importance of life-saving mechanisms and prevention strategies for seniors. So there's your evidence to implement the program, right? So you've got all of your community risk assessment data, you've got the StatsCan data, and then you've got this report that indicates that if we don't do something, if we don't do a better job educating people about the importance of smoke alarms and how to look after themselves and prevent falls, and fires are all interrelated, and we'll talk about that momentarily, then the situation is going to be, worse. And we know, and we won't go into this, but we know that in Ontario, we have significant issues with the numbers of fire fatalities. And if we look at the data and see the demographics, then it shows us that there is a significant issue and that we need to be working with these populations. So what we know about falls in Canada. Falls are the most common injury among older Canadians, which shouldn't be surprising to any of us. 1 in 3 older adults is likely to fall, and falls are the leading cause of hospitalization among older adults, so 85%, and more than a third of seniors who fall are placed into long-term care. And I find this to be a really scary statistic. Right. So once you fall and you go into a hospital, you have a hip replacement or whatever it may be, or you have broken bones, then you are very likely to end up in long-term care. And particularly in Ontario, we all know I'll say it out loud, the sorry state of long-term care. So the more we can do to prevent this from happening to our older population, the better, of course. Shannon, just checking while I take a sip of water. Any questions or comments in the chat?
No, there was a couple questions about some tech issues, but
Okay.
I think we're all sorted out on that.
All right, good to know. Okay, thank you. Okay, so falls, a fall risk is also a fire risk for older adults. And why is that? So how do we make that link? And Andrea is really good at this. So if we can perhaps have Andrea elaborate after, pardon me, after the slides are done. But people who fall, then develop a fear of falling. And we'll see a little bit more on that in a moment, a fear of falling, and are more careful and less agile and less inclined to take risks and go out and do other things. So we know that walking or your gait, eyesight, of course, and hearing diminish as we age. We know that there is often and can be cognitive impairment. You're all familiar with that. The side effects of medication, and medication is a new component of the Steps to Safety program. So it can be a loss of balance or drowsiness, so therefore alertness. Home maintenance sometimes suffers if people are not as agile as they could be, or they're not able to see. I know that a certain relative of mine just says, I can't see the dust, so it's not really there, right? So that might be the case. And then so people trying to look after their smoke alarms, snow removal, or the installation of grab bars and railings may not happen if people aren't comfortable doing it or don't have the resources to do it as they age in their homes. So all kinds of factors that contribute to that. And then there are other factors, right? So about 95% of older adults live independently, which is a number that we want to maintain because, again, particularly in Ontario, we would prefer that people are living independently and safely rather than in our care system. But there are challenges to that, right? Like we said, mobility, people tend to have a lot of older, outdated stuff. Those are Andrea's words, and I love that, that they are, not that they don't want to get rid of, but that it's challenging for them, right? So these are barriers to change. How do you even begin to declutter, right? It's difficult for all of us, let alone somebody who's on their own or doesn't have access to a vehicle or doesn't, navigate the internet well. Difficulty with maintenance, so it's challenging at the best of times, cognitive impairment, and then those side effects from medication. And I left this slide in so you could see my cartoon, which cracked me up, if you can see it there. All right. So this is the slide that talks about the risk of falls and how it becomes a vicious cycle. So if you have your first fall, so I fell, it's 3 or 4 years ago now. I was up early in the morning getting ready to go to British Columbia for a conference, and it was dark. So I don't know, it was probably, 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning for my early flight. And I don't know what I did, but I fell from my top step to the landing, which was three stairs down. Thought I broke my tailbone, didn't, but severely bruised it, and then had to get on a plane and then go do a conference and a workshop and travel all across the province for the next 3 or 4 days in agony, right? And just, I don't know how I fell, but it scared the life out of me. And now I'm extremely cautious, put the lights on all the time, and stop at the top of the stairs. So I'm fine, but I don't consider myself an older adult yet. But for those who are and who do, it really is frightening. It's something that's unexpected, and it does make you leery of doing things, going out when it's snowing, going out when there's ice, getting in and out of your car, those kinds of things. So it creates that fear of falling, and then that's going to decrease activity because of that fear. Right. So then that decreases your muscle tone and your coordination. You tend to become isolated, and then you have that increased risk for a fall. So you can see how easily that happens. And then what those things do further, sorry, just going to move some stuff out of the way here to see the slides. What that does is, of course, create a reduction in your mobility and in your senses because you are sedentary. It causes an increase in increase in aging home appliances and structure because you're less apt to keep your technology up to date or your home maintenance, a decrease in the frequency and quality of cleaning, like the dust that you can't see, an increased fire load if you're not able to declutter, and then increased risk of fire and the inability to escape. So we get asked all the time about people who have mobility challenges and what to do if they have fire or if the smoke alarm sounds, and you all are familiar with that. But if you're, it's much more difficult for a fire department if someone has a mobility challenge. How do you get them out? How do you get out? How do you do your escape plan? So the risk increases. So that you can see now how the fall and the fire come together and the risks, how the risks increase. So adults 65 and over, it goes across all demographics, right? It doesn't matter who you are, where you come from, these circumstances are similar. So in your community, no matter what your demographics and population, you are very likely to have or experience these issues, no matter what the population or what your demographics look like, right? Again, go back to your community risk assessment to see and check your data. So it's interesting because fire and EMS have insight into these issues. We have a unique lens through which to view this kind of thing happening, especially if you do lift assists in your community. I know some of you do, some of you don't. As I said, that program when Dory and Janet introduced Remembering When into Saskatoon, the numbers were cut in half, and they were doing like 700 and some odd lift assists a year. They're going to the same place over and over and over again. So by implementing the program, they were able to get people the care they needed and to reduce the numbers of lift assists, which of course then frees up resources to do other things and, reduces the risks for the people who are calling and puts them in better situations. So it is a community program. It does involve other agencies, and it's something that works over time. And obviously needs a commitment from the fire department and from the other agencies, the partner agencies involved. So how can we mitigate those risks that we've just talked about? The benefits of a fall and fire prevention program. Oops. So I don't know where the graphic is there. So obviously, if we do implement a program such as this, you're going to end up with fewer injuries from fires and falls, and you can help older adults live safely at home longer. There'll be lots of collaboration among community agencies, your community partners. So there are all kinds of community partners. I know many of you have them, and we'll talk about them. And then you decrease the reliance on emergency services, right? Or whoever is providing those lift assists. There's my graphic, my dancing older adults, right? So happy older adults when that comes along. So originally the program was Remembering When. And this program, I think, started, so I have it somewhere here in, sorry, Andrea, do you have the date? It's been around for more than 10 years. 1999, is that correct?
It was 1999. Yeah, I think one of the slides might actually say that, but yeah, it started in the late 90s.
Yeah, thank you. I don't know where it was. It was in my note here. It's disappeared. So it's been around for a while. So we've trained hundreds and if not thousands of people, and lots of fire departments in Canada and the United States, and lots of partner agencies are using the program. But it was getting a little out of date, and we knew that there were gaps. There it is, created in the 90s. And we knew that there were gaps. So Andrea, as I said, had applied for the grant and put together an advisory group and panel, and they worked extremely hard over a period of time to create the new program. And really, it's an update of Remembering When that focuses on the same 8 key areas of falls and fire prevention, but also includes issues relevant to medication. So Remembering When, there you go, created in 1999, and it used nostalgia to activate prior knowledge. So people always asked us why it was called Remembering When, and as Andrea says, that's one of the reasons we changed the name, because not that it was hard to answer, but steps to safety seems to be something a little more tangible. So it used participants' memories as discussion starters. So we had trivia questions and we could weave this thread of memories. So you talk about, you know, when my mom cooked on her, or my grandmother cooked on her coal stove, they were the best muffins I ever ate. And then you start to talk about safety and distance from a coal stove, and then cooking today and how you want to be safe and remember to wear short sleeves. And then if you're out walking the dog, you remember to be on the lookout for uneven walking surfaces. So there are the 8 messages for fire prevention and 8 messages for fall safety that are in there. It's a great conversation, and it is very a lovely conversation because it doesn't invoke fear or frustration. Rather, there's lots of discussion and talk about, you know, oh, when things were good and in better times, which older adults often like to discuss. And it works. But time for a bit of an update and a change. So this is my remembering when, and those of you who remember these can laugh, and those of you who don't can think about how old some of us are, right? And if you don't know what that is on the left, then you missed a good time in the 70s. Yeah. All right. So the basics of the Remembering When program, there were 2 components really. So the 8 fire prevention messages, the 8 fall prevention messages, group presentations, and home visits. Some of the fire departments that have used the program do home visits, some don't. That's just fine. And then something called motivational interviewing, which Andrea is a rock star in, and we learned, and it's really, y'all know I was a reporter before, it's really about planting seeds and encouraging people to make change on their own, and it becomes their idea and their motivation and their desire, rather than us telling people, well, you really should do this, or you really need to do that, right? Works better, as you all know. And then the community network. So whatever organizations or partners are in your network, your community. So your senior center is always a good place to start. Meals on Wheels, which probably many of you have, faith-based organizations, really, really good for helping us make contacts and understanding the culture of the demographics in your communities. Right, and helping you reach people in the right ways. Public health organizations, and then community service groups. So lots of you know, Kiwanis or Rotary or whatever it may be that helps older adults in your centers. So why did we update it? We talked a little bit about that, but Andrea's data will show you that this program is actually a gateway to other fall prevention programs. So people who do this program tend to make more inquiries. People who do it, people to whom it is presented tend to make more inquiries in their community and be proactive about learning how to be safe. So as I said, there's an increased knowledge. They learn more, they know more about fall prevention behaviors and positive attitudes toward prevention, and local programs in areas where we have Remembering When, through the fire departments and or community partners, reported a decrease in the frequent fallers. So certainly that was something that has happened in Saskatoon and some of the other regions in Canada where we have seen successful Remembering When programs. So Andrea has the data to show all of that and the fact that the program works. So it just needed an update, and we wanted to keep it going because, again, if you look back at the data on the first few slides, you can see that it's going to be something that is relevant for a good long time, as those of us who might be close to the baby boomer era age, and there are so many of us. So we kept the Falls and Fire messages. My mouse isn't working, which is why I'm stretching over there. And the partners, and yeah, and the group presentations and the home visits, but we've added some really cool stuff. So the video that you saw, the benefits of steps to safety, the home fire escape plan video, which you'll see in a moment, what to do if you fall video, which is fantastic. Social media assets, which I love. So Andrea and I have talked about this. They're going to be available just for download from the web page, the same as all of the other resources will be. So you can, they include graphics and some nice, very short, friendly text, and then the text that goes above the graphics in the tweet or in the post, Facebook probably as well. So that's terrific. It's all there for you. And then there would be obviously your fire department logo and whatnot is you're able to insert that, I believe, and it would come under your heading anyway on the platform, so people will know it came from you. So that's fantastic. And we do know that older adults are using Facebook because nobody else is. So it's a great platform, and we laugh at it, but Instagram and TikTok are the others. And as far as I can see, everybody's on TikTok. So you may be able to transform it somehow to work on the other platforms. And it's all free online learning, right? So there is an online learning module. I haven't done it yet because it will be up shortly, but you don't have to, pardon me, set some time aside. I'm not sure how long it takes, but we can ask Andrea at the end. And it's not an in-person training like Remembering When was. That was a wonderful opportunity for people who got to do our Remembering When scholarship conferences. Like I said, Kaylee and Glenn and Kim and some others, but it wasn't a sustainable model for any of us, right? For NFPA, for us to do the travel. Dory and I did it several times, like I said, in Canada, but it's difficult to do all that travel. And then with COVID, we couldn't do it. So this is a more sustainable model that makes the program available to everyone. So we're quite excited about that. And of course, the updated website and materials, right? So the foundational tenets of the program, we're focusing on independence and empowerment, right? We want people to be safe in their own homes and able to live independently. Pardon me. It focuses on a healthy, again, and quality of life. Don't know what that was supposed to say, Andrea. Focuses on health and quality of life and respect for the community member. So again, it's not a program where you're going in and saying, you need to do this, you need to do that, you need smoke alarms here, you need to move that mat. It's all about the community member understanding and making decisions and being motivated to be safe at home and to make the changes necessary to ensure that that's the case. All right, so as I said, it's still rooted in the Remembering When basics. We've got the 8 fire messages, 8 fall messages, the group presentations, the home visits, and then that community resource referral network. So those are your partner agencies who you work through to really access older adults in your community. So the fire messages, you've all seen them, but you'll see highlighted in yellow here how we've updated them. So they're very similar, but we've made some minor tweaks and changes so that they make more sense and there is more clarity, right? So stay in the kitchen when frying and cooking on the stovetop. And I really like that we've made this change because I've heard lots of, people say, stay in the kitchen when you're cooking. So people have asked about, well, can I leave the kitchen when I have something in the oven? Yes, you can leave something while you have something in the oven. Use a timer, of course, use Siri or Alexa or your whatever it may be, or your stovetop timer. So that's really good updated messaging. We've added the carbon monoxide, so smoke and carbon monoxide alarm, save lives. I saw Shannon's thumbs up there, so that's good. And if your clothes catch fire, stop, drop, and roll and smother the flames, which is great. We had a little bit of data from, I can't remember if it was Andrea or Len Garris, who said that only 1%, just 1% of fires involving older adults were because they caught their clothes on fire. Maybe that means that we're doing a really good job getting that message out about wearing tight-fitting clothing in the kitchen, or maybe it's just the fact that it doesn't happen as much as it used to because of codes and standards and the way ovens are and people's clothing and whatnot. But it's still the right message to make people aware of. So that is helpful. And then plan for your abilities. And we talk about this a lot, right? So if you have mobility challenges, if there are cognitive challenges, hearing, for example, issues, then what do you do if you are unable to escape or get out of a burning home or a home where there is smoke involved? So you have to help people understand what their escape plan might be, or is it a shelter-in-place situation? So that is a very in-depth conversation between perhaps the fire department and the family, or the family has to make those decisions based on what they've been taught and what the program helps them to learn. So it's a tough one. And then the falls messages. So again, similar to what they were before, and with a little bit of an update, improve the lighting in and around your home, which is great. And then have a list of current medications available. pardon me, and if you work with EMS at all, or if you work with older adult agencies, they certainly encourage that. And it is critical so that if something happens, people, the responders understand what may be the cause, or if there has been some kind of medication that is influencing or affecting the older adult's ability to, to be balanced, or to, if it affects their cognitive ability. So I think that's important, and I like that. So that new medication messaging, we noticed, of course, that there was a lack of guidance in the Remembering When program. So this is just a little bit of data about over-the-counter and prescription medication. So we can provide this to you if you like, if this helps with your, when you're talking to your department about whether you want to implement the program. Okay, so I won't go through it all for you. And then the new medication messaging encourages people to keep a list on the fridge, include the, your GP, your general practitioner contact info, include any over-the-counter medications. Always keep a copy with you. And if you're on any medication at all, you're always asked to bring it with you, because people forget the dosage and whatnot. So we encourage that, and to provide a copy to the caregiver. So if it's if you're an older adult and it's your children looking after you, if it's someone who comes in, make sure that they're aware of that. And then review them regularly. So make sure that your doctor is aware of all medication, take them as directed. Don't stop taking them if you're not supposed to. And people do that all the time. And then use that 7-day dosage package to keep medications in order as a reminder. People forget all the time. So we need to help them create good habits, right? So this is Jack Cohen with the Missoula Fire Lab. It's a great quote that Andrea had in her presentation. It's not rocket science. It's far more difficult. It's social science. So we're hearing a lot of that in Canada these days, where we're having challenges with the healthcare system. I was just listening to Tim Houston. I'm from Nova Scotia, as you know. I was just listening to Tim Houston, the premier there, unveil some new strategies for healthcare in Nova Scotia. It's going to take a long time, and we're in a similar situation in Ontario. So again, the more work we can do with this demographic, the better off we'll all be. So challenges for you guys with the program, and just overall in the work that you do, obviously, is behavior change. We've talked about that all the time. In the PubEd Shed, we talk about it. In your Fire and Life Safety 1035 program, we talk about it. The purpose of public education is to change behavior or modify behavior, and we know how difficult that is. So this program helps you understand, and helps you understand how to, again, plant that seed for behavior change. So you want to stay longer in your own home, but these risks exist. So perhaps if you did this, it would work better. But we know that even simple actions involve multiple steps. So we always talk about, installing a new smoke alarm. Great. You need, it's expired. You need to put a new one in. Where do you go? Which one do you get? How much does it cost? How do you install it? Which one is the right one? So trying to break down those barriers to change. And this program will help us do that. So risk perception, people overestimate the number, how to get out. People always say, oh, no problem, right? You've heard it all. So these are the things that are in people's heads when we talk about fires. If they haven't happened to you, or if you haven't had a fall, it's not going to happen to you. Well, we know that that's not the case, and that it can happen to anybody. So people overestimate, how difficult it is to get out, the ability to see or move through smoke and whatnot. And people think that the safety rules and the technology that are there now are there to protect them, when in fact, a lot of times things aren't up to codes or standards. So they may also underestimate the risk of a fire, right? We all know that. The challenge of moving through smoke, the need to leave immediately when the alarm sounds, absolutely critical. And how fast fire spreads. And you all know, you've seen the Home Fire Sprinkler Coalition videos on sprinklered and non-sprinklered rooms, and how quickly that fire spreads and how quickly it goes to flashover. So again, this program updates the perceptions and helps us understand. So the program works best with when you have a lead organization, which could be the fire department, the key partners in the community. So the two working together. And then how do you vet those partners so that you know you're going to work well together? Oftentimes it's good to have some background checks and a memorandum of understanding, or at least a letter of agreement that outlines expectations, right? So you don't want one partner to end up doing all the work. And then it's always the, well, what's in it for me? So you want to make sure there is something in it for all of the partners or all of the agencies doing the program or working together to implement the program. Right. And then who's doing what to make sure that that's very clear and probably written out. And then that you have periodic check-ins to make sure that you're on track, just like in 1035 when you're evaluating your programs, right? So maybe there's a need for change or to update something. So, you know, if you think about who your current partners are and the roles that they play and how could they help you with the program, maybe that's great. And maybe you have plenty and maybe you don't and you're just starting. So which types of community partners work well and who are they and who would you like to have involved and why, right? So reach out to new partners and obviously the local senior center or older adult center or community center or recreation center is an invaluable resource. I'm trying to get to the videos because I'm watching the time here. So in addition to the program, you may have in your community things like hoarding task forces, which I know you all had sort of 5 or 6 years ago. I'm not sure how many of them would still be active. You may have a smoke or CO installation program. You might have services where people can come in and help people install grab bars or other, you know, stair rails, that kind of thing. Oops, sorry, went to that by that quickly. And then I'll just show you, this is the online learning curriculum and what it looks like. So it's getting to know the program, mastering the messages, making the most of the group presentation, putting people at the center, initiating change at home, which is the crux of it all, putting it all together. And then there's a facilitator toolkit for you to use. So there are learning modules with motion graphics and other branching activities. And these are the other things that are involved in the online learning session. So just like any other online learning, and I know you all do a lot of it, it's done outside of NFPA by people who know what they're doing. And if it's like the other NFPA online learning modules and programs, it's fantastic. So there's also a 360-degree home visit simulation that talks and information about how to initiate those conversations again, so that people want to make the change, identifying and addressing hazards and looking at hoarding as well. So just what you'll see when the program is online, there's an interactive facilitator toolkit. And through the course, you'll be prompted to write down your thoughts, which is interesting to me, make plans and create personalized resources to use as you prepare to conduct group presentations and home visits, if that's something that you're able to do. And this is what that toolkit looks like. So really cool. Lots of guidance through the, again, self-directed online learning program. And this is just an example of what the 360-degree scenario would look like when you're establishing and looking at those risks. And Andrea can talk a bit more about that. So we have the 3 videos. We'll skip that and show you momentarily. And then, sorry about that. Getting there. What do you do if you experience a fall? Most falls happen at home. We know this, often between the bedroom and the bathroom or in the bathroom. And we teach people how to get up safely if they are not hurt. So I know some of you haven't worked in the falls prevention area before. So just some of what's in the program for you, so you're aware. Okay. All right, so this video is can be used in a group presentation or as a whole, or you can use some key pieces of it. It's a bit lengthy, but it's excellent. And I'm going to stop talking so you can watch it.
Everybody ages, no surprise there. But a lot of wisdom comes with these wrinkles. And for me, that means being realistic about my abilities and taking steps to safety. It's how I met Stan, who's actually part of my community's Steps to Safety program.
Sorry.
He's the real deal. And he's come by to help me keep my home safe and point out any hazards that might cause me to fall. Truth
Now
is, I'm not as steady as I used to be. In fact, Stan says 1 in 3 people over the age of 65 experience a fall, and 1 in 17 go to the ER. I don't like those statistics. So Stan's sharing some ways to help me with prevention. He's also got ideas for what to do if I do end up on the ground. Let's start there. Step 1 is to figure out if you're injured. Don't try to get up right away. If you're not seriously hurt, try to get up. Do this by rolling onto your side. Take your time, getting on your hands and knees. Now, crawl toward and hold on to a steady chair or another stable object to help get yourself up. In some cases, you may be able to stand up from hands and knees without support. This may be easier for some than others. What about outside? Well, Stan says the steps are the same. Check to make sure you aren't hurt. Roll to your side, then to your hands and knees. If you are hurt, stay put and stay calm. Call out for help from anyone nearby. Help! I always try to keep my cell phone close just in case I need it. I know it sounds embarrassing to have the fire department show up with all the neighbors watching. But if you need it, call. Now, let's get to the best part we all know, which is falls don't have to happen. Stan has 8 steps to safety to prevent a fall. And I tell you, they really help motivate me. First, exercise. I'm back to walking my favorite loop every day. I've also tried to stick to my balance exercises at least 2 days a week, sometimes more. I can tell it's making a difference. When I stand up, I slow down to find my balance and make sure I'm not dizzy. When I'm doing my chores, I make more trips and carry smaller loads. Too much at once throws off my balance. It's just not worth it. So I always keep one hand free just in case. In the stairway especially, it's important there's good lighting, and I use it when walking up the stairs. I don't leave anything blocking my way that I could forget and trip over. And of course, I always use the handrails up and down. As for the bathroom, Stan told me about these non-slip mats for inside and outside the bathtub. Great idea. Grab bars for my shower and toilet area are a good help too. Just little things like an uneven surface can be a tripping hazard, especially when they blend together, like driveways, curbs, and sidewalks. Outside or inside, the right shoes sure make a difference. I wear non-slip shoes inside my house because they're safer than going barefoot or wearing socks. And one last thing, Stan says to check with my doctor to see if any medications I'm taking can affect my balance or make me drowsy. Information is power, and it helps me plan my day. He says, keep a list visible in the house so others will know my medications in an emergency. These steps are simple and easy to follow. They give me and my family peace of mind because I'm taking steps to stay safe. And at the same time, I know just what to do if I have a fall. All of it. Good health, being active, my independence. It's all really important to me. And steps to safety keeps me living the life I enjoy. I hope you'll join me, and I'll see you on the trail.
Visit nfpa.org/steps to safety to get started.
So that's a wonderful summary of the Falls messaging. And Stan is also a rock star. He's one of our NFPA network representatives. We've all worked with him extensively, and you're going to see him and Dory in the next video in a moment. So also wanted to show you, I mentioned the social media cards, and the posts, the text that goes with them will be included on the website. So these will help us promote the behaviors to these social norms, of course, and they're optimized for Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And again, easy to use because we have the text and the copy that goes with them. And
Laura, can I the final video, just to let you know, because I have meetings backing up against this, is current, the next video, the escape video, is currently on our NFPA YouTube channel.
oh, I thought
page.
when I mixed up. Sorry. Thank you, Andrea. Okay.
So that you showed the 2 videos that aren't out yet.
Yep.
And so I just want to make sure people know the last video is the planning your home fire escape, and that is currently available on our YouTube page. At the moment, it finishes with go to fpw.org, firepreventionweek.org, because it's an escape, and then it'll split back to being a steps to safety, directing people to steps to safety, just to let you know that. So just want to let you know.
Great. Thank you very much. And then Andrea, I know you put in the chat early February and you have to go. So I'll give you we don't have a date yet.
No, I'm waiting on the IT people, because it's where, you know, at the final stages of taking some of our current assets and swapping them to the new color scheme and the new logos. The home safety checklist is done. I'm kind of excited about that, because it also now will have a place where you can input your own department logo, an organization logo, and it has a notes section. So now we're at that final part, and the social media assets are going to be able to be downloaded, not only with the cards, but with sample copy and sample hashtags that you can use. So we're getting all those items so that we can have one good landing page up and running. So I do appreciate, it's been a little bit of a moving target, but we're getting closer.
Awesome. Thank you. So if you guys have questions for Andrea, because she does have to run to another meeting, put them in the chat and I'll make sure I get them to her. I have just one more slide and then the final video, which is about 4 or 5 minutes long. So I know that some of you also have to run to other meetings. So I'll carry on. Thanks very much, Andrea, and congratulations on getting this program.
Thank you. And I want to mention also Janet Barnes from Saskatoon, also on the advisory council, and Lisa Barrett from British Columbia. So this is very much a North American, US, Canada outlay, and very excited to see this rollout. And so as we roll out for this year, we're going to continue to take learnings and feedback and that sort of thing.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Andrea. Okay, guys, so just, so the landing page will be at nfpa.org the steps to safety will replace the remembering when it's up in a couple of weeks. So if you go to nfpa.org /remembering when, or later /steps to safety, you can find it, or you can navigate your way through by going to nfpa.org. And then under public education, you will find those social media assets, the group presentations, the handouts, and the videos. And then I'll show you our last video before we leave. If you need to go, put any questions in the chat, because I'm watching the time. And thank you so much. So Dory is in this video. Dory is the same age as me. You'd never know it looking at this video. Just watch what they've done to her, the hair and makeup.
When it comes to an emergency at home, like a fire, having a safety plan could save your life. Practicing how you are going to leave your home and following simple do's and don'ts means you will remember and know what to do if you have a fire. This is where steps to safety can make all the difference. Think about your home. How would you get out if your typical exit path was blocked by smoke or fire? Planning how you are going to leave each room now means you can act faster in an emergency. Be sure you can actually do what you plan. For example, are you physically able to crawl through the window? And if you will need extra help, share your plan with loved ones, caregivers, trusted neighbors, and even the fire department. Now that you know how you are going to leave, Make sure that nothing is in the way. Check that door is easily open. Windows too. Boxes, vacuums, and clutter are just a few examples of items that could make you trip. You should have smoke alarms in each sleeping area, outside of each sleeping area, and on each level. This will alert you that there is smoke in your house and give you time to get out safely. Test them monthly by pressing the test button and replace alarms that are over 10 years old or if they've stopped working. Change batteries according to manufacturer's recommendations. Research shows that you can have as little as 2 minutes to get out in a home fire. So essential items like eyeglasses, your phone, and a cane or walker should be easily accessible where you sleep. Leave everything else, as hard as that may be, and get outside. Your life is more valuable than your possessions. Once you've made it out safely, go to your designated meeting place and call 911 or your local emergency number. Be sure to stay clear of the fire and smoke. What if you can't get out? If escape isn't possible, shelter in place by closing as many doors as possible between you and the fire and putting a wet towel or blanket under the door. Immediately call 911. If possible, stay by a window for emergency personnel to find you. What if you don't live in a single-family home? Many people live in apartments, condos, or other multifamily housing. Talk to your building manager and neighbors about your building's fire escape plans. Never use an elevator to escape, so make sure you know where the stairways are located. And discuss with your building manager and caregivers how your abilities fit within that plan and adjustments you might make within your home. What if you have a disability? For example, if you're hard of hearing, a bed shaker alert system that works with your smoke alarm will alert you when you're sleeping. Strobe light alarms can give you an additional alert for smoke. Work with your healthcare provider and local fire department to help make plans specific for your abilities. You don't have to do this alone. Community organizations like your local senior center, health center, and the local fire department can also help you prepare a home fire escape plan that works for you. Remember, make an escape plan using these guidelines. Then practice your escape plan twice a year with all members of your household. For more information on fire safety, visit www.nfpa.org/steps-to-safety and rest easier knowing you've taken steps to safety.
Awesome. There's my contact information, you guys. For those of you who have to go, you all know it anyway, but happy to hear from you on that. And Shannon, if there are questions, I will stop sharing here and see if there's anything I can answer.
There was a lot of conversation in the chat about the doors and hold open devices and all that fun stuff, not necessarily specific to steps to safety or the program, but some kind of good back and forth there.
Good.
Sorry,
Shannon, sorry. There was one question that came in to the OAFE account. They just asked, are we able to use your PowerPoint in our community as part of our senior fall program?
So I believe that Andrea may have a PowerPoint that becomes available. This one is meant for you guys, right? So to help fire departments understand the program and then be able to implement the program. I can provide my slides with the Canadian data to you. That's no problem because that's available, but why would I make you go look it up when it's right there? So I'm happy to send those to Shannon and she can send them out or put them on the website, whichever. That's no problem at all. Mm-hmm.
Thank you. That was all, Shannon. Sorry.
Okay. Thanks, Brianna. If anybody does have questions, either throw them in the chat now or just unmute and go ahead and ask.
As Andrea said, we're going to do the French captioning on those videos too. It will take a little bit, but it will come. So for those of you in Eastern Ontario, that will be helpful. Mm-hmm.
Does anybody have any questions?
I do.
Go for it.
Hi. So I just wanted to confirm. So the last video we just watched now, that is available?
It is. It's on our
Okay.
channel. So if you just go to
Okay.
YouTube and do NFPA, it's there now. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah. Ray, any thoughts from you? This is sort of the first time we've gone through this with a large and lovely audience.
Yeah, no, I think this is a great program to introduce to you. And we're really, really happy that you in Canada are really interested in this. NFPA's mission is that we help save lives, and this is how we help, by providing some resources for you to use them. And we've got Laura up there, and if you need any assistance, I know she's there to help, eager to get up at 3 a.m. fly somewhere. So.
And not fall down again. Yeah, exactly. Good. Okay, you guys, that was fantastic. Thank you all for joining us today. Thanks, Shannon, for getting up early. And thanks to Brianna for organizing, and everybody. We'll see you next month, maybe. We'll see what's going on and continue this series as best we can through the year. That's all we can say.